A cold silence stretched across the galaxy. Decades ago, Earth had been crushed. The Galactic Council's fleets had burned its skies, bombed its cities, and left nothing but ashes behind. Billions were gone, and the rest of the galaxy moved on. To most aliens, humanity was nothing more than a dark memory, a warning of what happens when a small world dares to defy the Council. The words, "Earth is dead," became common in council halls, spoken with smugness and pride. But in the shadows of space, whispers began to rise again. It started with a signal. Weak at first, like a ghost in the void, it flickered on the edge of long-range scanners. Alien patrols dismissed it, calling it static, the random noise of dying stars. But the signal repeated. It carried rhythm, a pattern no star could make. It was a human code. On a lonely outpost at the edge of the Council's border, alien technicians huddled over their screens. Their skin paled, their voices shook. They knew what they were hearing. Old Terran frequencies, the kind banned long ago. They sent word to their superiors, but most of the Council laughed. "Impossible," they said. "Earth is gone. Humans are dust." Yet the signal kept growing stronger. Then came the shadow. One night, near a quiet star system, a massive shape appeared. At first it was invisible, cloaked in the black of deep space. Only the absence of starlight gave it away. Small alien patrol ships moved closer, curious. Their commanders mocked the reports. "Probably an asteroid," they said, "or a sensor glitch." But as the patrol ships drew near, their scanners screamed warnings. This was no rock. This was no glitch. The object was moving, fast, deliberate, alive. The patrol captain ordered a closer pass. His crew watched through reinforced glass as the stars seemed to bend. A wall of metal stretched before them, endless and cold. It was a warship, unlike anything they had ever seen. Its hull was black, covered with strange lines that glowed faintly blue, like veins of fire. Across its side, letters in an old language burned into the metal. The aliens did not understand the words, but one of them recognized the flag. Earth. The patrol's voice broke as he whispered it. Earth had returned. The alien crew panicked, sending distress signals across the system. But before they could finish, their communication was hijacked. A human voice echoed through every channel, calm and sharp like steel. "We are back," the voice said. "Humanity never died. Tell your masters, the reckoning has begun." The signal cut, and the massive warship lit its engines. Light burst across the black, casting shadows over the smaller alien ships. They froze in place, paralyzed by fear. None dared to fire. This was not the weak Earth they remembered. This was something new, something stronger. News spread fast. Within hours, every corner of the Council heard the rumor. Alien leaders gathered, their faces pale and trembling. Some dismissed it as propaganda. "A trick," they said. "A false flag operation." But others remembered the wars of the past. They remembered the stubbornness of humans, how they had refused to kneel even when death circled them. If humanity had survived, if they had rebuilt in secret, the thought sent waves of fear across the chamber. On distant worlds, ordinary citizens turned to the skies. Traders, soldiers, and travelers whispered of giant ships moving in formation, slipping through hyperspace with silent precision. Merchants spoke of star systems gone dark, where human fleets had been spotted and communications had suddenly stopped. Children in alien cities asked their parents if the ghosts of Earth were coming for them. The Galactic Council's arrogance began to crack. For decades, they had ruled unchallenged, believing Earth was erased. Now, unease gnawed at their confidence. They ordered fleets to investigate, to hunt down these shadows. But deep down, every alien leader knew they were no longer the hunters. The humans were back. Back on the border station where it all began, the alien technicians replayed the intercepted signal. Again and again they listened to the same words, "We are back. Humanity never died." The technicians stared at each other in silence, their faces drained of color. The message was simple, but it carried weight heavier than any weapon. A few dared to ask the question no one wanted to say aloud. If humanity had survived in secret, where had they been all this time? How had they built ships that large, that powerful without anyone noticing? And the darkest question of all, what were they planning to do next? As the shadow of the massive warship drifted through space, its hull glowing with silent menace, the galaxy held its breath. The patrol captain, still staring at the giant ship that had appeared from nowhere, whispered the words that spread through every comm channel, every station, every council hall. Earth has returned. The council's halls echoed with fear. The stars themselves seemed to tremble, and the future of the galaxy shifted in a single moment. The humans were not gone. The humans were stronger, and the aliens never saw it coming. The final shot shows the alien patrol ship, dwarfed by the enormous human warship, its engines roaring as it vanishes into hyperspace, leaving behind nothing but fear. The Galactic Council chamber was supposed to be a place of order, a shining hall where the most powerful species in the galaxy gathered under banners of unity. But on this day, order was gone. Voices clashed, claws slammed against tables, wings rustled in anger, and cold eyes glowed with fear. The massive hologram of the shadowed Terran warship flickered in the center of the room, and every alien who looked at it felt their throat tighten. "It's a trick," one alien shouted, his skin flashing in denial. "Humans cannot return. They were destroyed. I saw the fires myself. Earth burned." "Then explain the signal," another voice cut in, sharp and bitter. "Explain the patrol ships that went silent. Explain the ship in that recording." The chamber erupted again, each species throwing accusations at the other. Some claimed it was the work of rival empires, an elaborate illusion to spread fear. Others whispered that it was worse, that Earth had survived in the void, growing silent and patient like a predator in the dark. In the high seat at the end of the chamber, the Grand Speaker of the Council struck the podium with his staff, demanding silence. The noise slowed, but it did not vanish. Even he, a leader known for his confidence, could not hide the tremor in his hands. His compound eyes studied the glowing warship hologram. It was massive, larger than any vessel the Council had ever built. Its engines glowed with strange energy, its weapons unknown. "Perhaps it is only one ship," the Grand Speaker said, his voice low but unsteady. "A relic, a survivor. It cannot be more." A voice rose from the back, cold and certain. "Reports say otherwise. Entire systems near the border have gone silent. Traders vanish. Colonies are cut off. This is not one ship. This is a fleet." The words fell like stones. The chamber froze. Dozens of alien eyes blinked, their scales, fur, or skin shifting with unease. The thought of a single human ship was terrifying enough. But a fleet? A hidden fleet rising in secret, unchallenged, unseen. That was something even the proudest councillor could not laugh away. Images appeared above the hologram, blurry but real. Grainy footage of enormous shadows drifting across stars. Pulses of strange energy-bending scanners. A glimpse of a human flag burning bright against the black void. Every image made the chamber sink deeper into panic. "We destroyed them," another alien whispered, almost as if trying to convince himself. "We erased their cities, their fleets, their armies. How can they return with ships like this?" How? No one had the answer. That was the part that frightened them most. Suspense grew as the chamber turned from noise to silence. The weight of fear pressed down on them. Some thought back to old wars, to the stubborn resistance of humans, even when death surrounded them. The council had mocked that spirit before. Now it haunted them. One councillor finally spoke, her voice shaking but fierce. "We must prepare our fleets. Every ship we have must be ready. If humanity has returned, they will not come to speak. They will come to take vengeance." The Grand Speaker hesitated. He wanted to appear calm, strong, unshaken. But deep down, even he remembered the stubborn eyes of human prisoners, the way they had refused to kneel even as the flames consumed their homeworld. He struck the podium again and gave the order. "Summon the fleets. Every system must prepare for war." Alarms echoed across the galaxy. Council fleets began to gather in panic. Thousands of ships pulled from colonies and trade routes, all converging near the border. Admirals shouted commands, crews rushed to arm their weapons, and whole worlds prepared for conflict. But behind their fear was doubt. Were they already too late? The suspense built as more reports flooded in. A mining colony on the edge of the void had sent a final message. Shadows in the sky. Too many to count. Then silence. A convoy of warships never arrived at their destination. Their last transmission showed streaks of light tearing through the black. Traders told stories of colossal human ships drifting silently past, their engines like glowing storms, their weapons humming with unknown power. Back in the council chamber, the leaders argued over strategy. Some wanted to negotiate, to send envoys and beg for peace. Others laughed bitterly at the thought. What peace could exist after the council had tried to erase Earth from history? A deep voice silenced the debate. "You all speak as if we still hold the power," the alien commander growled. His scales glistened under the chamber's light. "But look at those ships. Look at their silence. They do not scream. They do not boast. They come in silence, and silence is what you hear before the strike." The hologram shifted, showing a new image from long-range sensors. Not one warship, not 10, dozens, maybe hundreds. A fleet of Terran ships, larger than anything the Council had ever seen, moving in formation. Their hulls reflected no light, their weapons hidden, their engines glowing like fire. The chamber fell into terror. The Council, once the most powerful force in the galaxy, now stared at shadows that looked unstoppable. The Grand Speaker tried to speak, but his words caught in his throat. The hologram zoomed in on one of the Terran ships. On its side, glowing bright and undeniable, was a single symbol, the blue and white flag of Earth. The part ends as the hologram flickers, showing the Terran fleet breaking hyperspace near a Council colony world. The final image shows alien citizens on the colony staring at the sky in horror as dozens of massive Terran warships descend in silence, their engines blazing like suns. The alien colony world of Vedras was quiet at first. Its people had gone, about their lives as usual, markets buzzing, ships coming and going from the orbital docks, children playing in the glowing streets. But when the sky began to darken, everything stopped. At first, the citizens thought a storm was forming. Then they looked up and froze. Dozens of massive warships slid out of hyperspace, their hulls black as the void, engines glowing like burning stars. They moved in perfect silence, blocking out the sun with their size. The colony's defenses scrambled. Alarm sirens screamed across the city as orbital cannons charged and interceptors scrambled into the sky. Yet no one fired. Everyone waited. The sight alone was enough to paralyze even the boldest. In the Council's command center on the colony, alien generals shouted, their voices tight with fear. "Hold positions! Do not engage until ordered!" They knew these were no ordinary ships. These were human ships, and each one looked capable of tearing through fleets with a single strike. Then the signal came. Every comm channel, every screen, every display flickered at once. Static washed over the city. Then, slowly, an image appeared. A figure stood in shadow, tall, armored in black plating that reflected cold light. A helmet covered the face, but behind the visor glowed two piercing human eyes. The room where the figure stood seemed metallic, sharp, and alive with strange energy. The voice that followed was steady, calm, almost too calm. "People of the Council," the human said, "you believe we were gone. You believed you had erased us. You were wrong." A wave of panic rippled through the colony. Civilians gasped, soldiers stiffened, and council leaders exchanged terrified glances. They had expected anger, perhaps wild screaming, demands for revenge. Instead, the human spoke with the tone of someone in full control. That was worse. "You burned our world," the human continued. "You scattered our people, but humanity did not die. We endured, we rebuilt, and now we return not as prey, but as judgment." The hologram zoomed closer. Behind the human, massive windows showed the outline of an even larger ship, something colossal, its size dwarfing anything the Council had ever constructed. Just a glimpse of it made the alien commanders feel small. The alien governor of the colony stammered through the comm. We seek peace. If you demand reparations, the Council can discuss—" The human's head tilted as if amused. "Peace? You had your chance. When our children screamed in the flames, you gave us no peace. When our cities fell into ash, you gave us no mercy. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive." Before the governor could respond, the image cut out. For a moment, silence reigned. Then the sky cracked. Without warning, one of the human warships fired a single shot, not at the colony itself but at the nearby moon. A beam of blue-white light struck its surface. Seconds later, the moon split down the middle with a roar that echoed through space. Entire mountain ranges shattered, crumbling as debris drifted away into orbit. The colony shook with terror. Alarms blared, children screamed, soldiers stood frozen in disbelief. The humans had not fired at them, but the message was clear. That shot was a warning, and even the strongest alien generals knew their weapons could never do something so terrifying. In the council chamber orbiting above the colony, alien commanders collapsed into chaos. Some shouted to open fire, but their hands trembled. Others screamed for retreat, knowing their fleets would be slaughtered if they fought. The holograms showed it plainly. The human weapons could shatter moons as easily as cutting glass. What chance did their ships have? Suspense grew as the human fleet adjusted position, their massive engines glowing brighter, their hulls gleaming with symbols of Earth. The colony's defenses locked on, cannons trembling as if they too felt fear. The alien governor shouted for patience, but his voice broke. He could see what was coming. Then the human voice returned, calm and steady as before. "We are not here to destroy you, yet. We are here to remind you. The galaxy thought it could erase us. It thought it could bury our name. But look at us now. Humanity has risen stronger than ever, and this is only the beginning." The feed ended again. The colony stood in silence, broken only by the distant sound of rubble falling from the shattered moon. On the ground, alien citizens stared upward in terror. Some wept, others prayed, others simply stood frozen, their eyes wide with fear. They realized then what the Council had never believed. Humanity was not only alive, it had become something greater. In the orbital chamber, one alien admiral whispered the words no one wanted to say. "If this is only their beginning, then the end belongs to us." The last image shows the giant Terran warships drifting closer, their weapons glowing faintly as they prepare for the next move. The suspense lingers as the colony holds its breath, unsure whether the next shot will be another warning or the end. The colony of Vedras had gone silent. No one spoke, no one moved. The broken moon above their heads still glowed in the sky, pieces of rock drifting like burning embers. Alien citizens huddled together, their voices hushed, afraid to even whisper. The message was clear. Humanity had power beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen, but the humans were not finished. As the warships drifted closer, the skies above the colony shimmered with strange light. Lines of fire streaked downward, cutting through the clouds. At first, the aliens thought it was another attack. Panic swept the streets. Parents dragged their children indoors, soldiers aimed their weapons at the sky, and generals screamed orders to prepare for impact. Then the light slowed. Figures emerged from the streaks, giant dropships, black and angular, descending like silent predators. Their hulls bore the same glowing symbols seen on the warships, the flag of Earth, blue and white, blazing across the metal. With a thunderous roar, the dropships landed outside the colony's main fortress. Dust and shockwaves rippled through the ground, shaking the very streets. The fortress gates trembled as alien soldiers lined up behind them. Their weapons glowed, their hands shaking. They had prepared to fight against pirates, rebels, or even rival empires. But this was different. These were the humans, the ghosts of a burned world, standing at their doors. The first dropship opened. From inside, rows of human soldiers stepped out. They moved in perfect formation, their black exosuits gleaming under the pale light. Their armor was unlike anything the aliens had seen before, layered metal that looked alive, pulsing faintly with blue energy. Their helmets were expressionless, but through their visors burned the same sharp human eyes the galaxy had once feared. Not a word was spoken. The soldiers marched in silence, boots striking the ground with heavy rhythm. Each step echoed like thunder. The alien defenders stared in shock. They expected rage, shouting, wild human chaos. But these soldiers were calm, disciplined, and frighteningly organized. There was no wasted motion, no fear in their steps. It was as if the humans had turned into living machines of war. One alien officer shouted for his men to hold the line. His voice cracked. The fortress gates creaked open slightly, and weapons hummed as they locked on target. Yet before anyone could fire, the humans stopped. From the front of the formation, a taller soldier stepped forward. His armor was marked with glowing red stripes, his presence radiating command. He lifted his hand. Instantly, the entire human army froze in place, their weapons lowered, but ready. The silence was unbearable. Then the fortress doors burst open. Alien generals stepped out, flanked by nervous guards. Their faces were pale, their scales and skin trembling with fear. One of them shouted across the courtyard, his voice breaking, "State your purpose. Why have you come here?" The human commander tilted his helmet, then slowly removed it. His face was scarred, his eyes sharp and cold. He looked not like a survivor, but like a man who had carried the weight of war across lifetimes. His voice, steady and calm, carried across the entire courtyard. "We came to show you what humanity has become." He raised his hand again. Behind him, the dropships opened further. What the aliens saw made their stomachs twist. Inside were not just soldiers, but machines, massive walking constructs, towering above the humans, their eyes glowing like burning stars. Weapons lined their arms, their movements smooth and precise. They were not clumsy machines like the Council built, but living steel, controlled with deadly grace. The alien soldiers broke formation. Some dropped their weapons, others stumbled backward. They had expected survivors with old rifles and broken armor. Instead, they were staring at an army that looked unstoppable. The human commander's voice cut through their fear. "You thought humanity was weak. You thought you could erase us. But every strike against us only forged us harder. Every loss made us stronger. And now we stand before you. Not as victims, but as judgment." The humans began to march again, slow and steady, moving directly into the fortress. The alien generals screamed orders, but their soldiers did not move. None dared to fire. The humans walked through the gates without resistance, their presence alone enough to shatter the will of the defenders. Inside the fortress, the aliens retreated deeper, their faces twisted in disbelief. The humans spread out with precision, securing every corridor, every chamber. Not a single shot had been fired. Yet the fortress, one of the strongest symbols of Council control, was falling. The suspense grew as the humans reached the heart of the fortress. There, behind massive armored doors, was the colony's central hangar. Alarms wailed as the doors groaned open. The alien generals tried to rally, but their voices were drowned by the sound of metal tearing. The doors ripped apart, and the hangar revealed its secret. Inside were ships, alien ships, sleek and polished, lined up in rows. But standing among them were even larger shapes. Shapes that did not belong to the aliens. Colossal human dreadnoughts. The hangar was filled with them, towering monsters of steel, their hulls glowing faintly in the dark. They had been hidden, stored in secret, waiting for this moment. The alien soldiers gasped in horror, their hearts sinking as the realization struck them. The humans had not only brought soldiers, they had brought a fleet inside their very walls. The human commander turned back to the terrified alien generals and said only one sentence: "This is just our vanguard." The fortress hangar of Vedras echoed with silence. The aliens stood frozen, staring at the colossal Terran dreadnoughts resting in the dark. Their hulls were black and silver, their engines pulsing with blue fire. Every ship looked alive, as if waiting for a single command to awaken. The alien generals could not understand it. How had humanity, a species they believed destroyed, built ships of this size, this power, without anyone noticing? The human commander's calm voice cut through the silence. "You wonder how we survived, how we rebuilt. You want to know the truth." His scarred face was unreadable, but his eyes burned with the weight of centuries. "You thought you had ended us, but in reality, you forced us into something greater." The aliens exchanged fearful glances. No one dared to speak. The commander stepped aside, and a hologram shimmered to life behind him. It showed Earth, not as a ruined wasteland, but as a thriving world. Towering cities gleamed with silver towers, surrounded by skies filled with vast orbital rings. Shipyards, larger than moons, floated above the planet, producing fleets in endless silence. The Earth they had left for dead was not weak. It had been reborn. "You destroyed our cities," the commander said, his voice steady. "But under the ashes we built stronger ones. You destroyed our fleets, so we hid and forged new ones in the shadows of your blind arrogance. For every world you thought you silenced, there was another that rose in secret. You never saw us because you never bothered to look." The hologram shifted, showing scenes from humanity's hidden journey. Far beyond the Council's reach, human colonies had united, pooling every scrap of knowledge, every survivor, every drop of fury. Around Jupiter, colossal shipyards were constructed in secret, hidden by storms and gravity fields. In the void near Saturn's rings, human scientists worked day and night, creating weapons the galaxy had never imagined. On Mars, soldiers trained in silence, forging an army that was patient, disciplined, unbreakable. The aliens watched in horror as the images showed fleets rising in the dark, dreadnoughts sliding from massive docks, and soldiers stepping into black exosuits for the first time. This was not desperation. This was not survival. This was evolution. One alien general finally found the courage to speak. His voice shook. "It is not possible." The Council would have known. "We would have seen this. We control every system." The human commander cut him off. His lips curled into the faintest hint of a smile. "That was your mistake. You were too busy ruling, too busy mocking, too busy believing you were safe. Humanity watched. Humanity waited. And while you laughed, we prepared." Suspense thickened as the hologram shifted again. It now showed fleets of human ships moving together in the void. Their engines bent light itself, leaving ripples across space. Their weapons pulsed with power that even the aliens' most advanced sensors could not define. Behind the fleets, new colonies glowed with life, proof that humanity had not only rebuilt but expanded, claiming star systems the Council had ignored. The alien soldiers in the hangar whispered nervously. Their hands trembled around their rifles. Their generals clenched their jaws, realizing too late what this meant. Humanity had not returned for negotiation or survival. Humanity had returned for dominance. The commander's voice grew harder. "For decades we lived in silence. We let you believe you had won, and in that silence we forged something stronger than vengeance. We forged unity. No more petty wars between our nations. No more division. Earth united, and from that unity came strength you cannot comprehend." The hologram ended, leaving only the glowing blue engines of the dreadnoughts behind the humans. The aliens stared at them, pale and silent. Then the ground shook. A new signal rushed through the fortress, forcing its way onto every screen, every comm channel. The alien generals turned pale as they read the incoming transmission. It was not from the colony. It was not from the Council. It came from deep in space, far beyond their borders. The human commander glanced at the screen, then turned back to the aliens. His voice lowered. And now you will see the final truth. The fortress lights flickered as the message played. Static filled the room, then cleared to reveal a human officer standing on the bridge of another massive warship. His armor gleamed with gold stripes, his face calm but merciless. Behind him stretched an endless wall of ships, hundreds, maybe thousands. Entire fleets, their weapons glowing like suns, engines burning through the dark. The officer's words were simple, but they carried the weight of doom. "Reinforcements inbound," the alien generals gasped in horror. Reinforcements? What they had seen already seemed impossible, but now they realized the terrifying truth. This was not the full force of Earth. This was only the beginning. The human commander looked at the aliens one last time. "Your galaxy thought Earth was gone. It was wrong. And now you will learn what happens when humanity returns stronger than ever." Outside the fortress, the skies erupted with light as dozens of new Terran fleets ripped out of hyperspace. Blotting out the stars, the galaxy shook with fear. The Council had never seen anything like this before. Hundreds of Terran fleets arriving in silence, their warships larger than cities, their engines blazing like dying suns. Every alien world whispered the same words: humanity has returned. In the heart of the Council capital, chaos reigned. Admirals screamed into comms, demanding their fleets mobilize. Holograms of star maps flickered as thousands of alien warships moved into position. They gathered at the border of the Vedra system, forming a blockade so massive it stretched across the stars. The aliens believed numbers would save them. 10,000 ships against a few hundred Terran warships. The math seemed simple. The Council had always ruled with sheer size and overwhelming firepower, but deep down, fear gnawed at them. They had seen the moon split in half. They had seen soldiers march through fortresses without resistance. And they knew this battle was no ordinary war. From his flagship, the alien High Admiral gave the order: "Hold the line. Do not let them pass." His voice trembled, but pride burned beneath it. The Council had to show strength. If they faltered now, their entire rule would collapse. Suspense built as the fleets locked into formation. The void between stars glowed with the heat of weapons charging. Thousands of alien eyes stared into the black, waiting for humanity's first move. Then the dark shifted. The Terran fleet slid into view. Their ships moved in silence, perfectly aligned, their hulls reflecting no light. They did not scatter or hesitate. They advanced slowly, calmly, like predators who knew the prey could not escape. An alien officer whispered in fear, "Why aren't they afraid? Why don't they break formation?" The High Admiral barked back, though his voice cracked. "Because they want us to fear. Fire on my mark!" But before he could give the command, the Terran ships lit up. Not with missiles, not with plasma, with something far more terrifying. Blue arcs of energy spread across their hulls, bending light itself. Space rippled around them, as if reality struggled to contain their power. Weapons unseen by the Council roared to life, and the stars themselves seemed to bend. The first shot came without sound. A single Terran dreadnought fired, and an alien battleship simply vanished. No explosion, no fire. It folded in on itself, crushed into nothingness, leaving only silence behind. Panic swept through the alien fleets. Commanders screamed for counterattack. Thousands of cannons fired, filling the void with plasma and missiles. The galaxy lit with fire, but as the weapons struck the Terran warships, the results froze every alien heart. The blasts bent away, curving harmlessly into space. The Terran hulls absorbed or redirected the attacks like rain on steel. For every 100 shots fired, not one left a scratch. The human fleet answered. Weapons flared in silence, beams of light cutting across the stars. Alien cruisers shattered, their hulls torn apart in seconds. Entire squadrons vanished in bursts of fire. Alien admirals tried to rally, shouting for formations to hold, but their voices drowned under chaos. Ships collided in panic, screams filled comm channels, and the blockade began to crumble. Suspense rose higher as the alien High Admiral realized the truth. They were not facing survivors, they were facing a force built to conquer. Every Terran move was precise, every strike devastating. They did not waste energy. They did not show mercy. The battle shifted from chaos to massacre. Alien fleets, once proud and countless, now burned across the void. The stars themselves glowed red with wreckage, but then something even more terrifying happened. From behind the Terran fleet, the void tore open. Hyperspace rippled like water, and a colossal shadow emerged. At first, the aliens thought it was a planet. Then they realized it was a ship. The Terran flagship. It dwarfed everything, larger than any moon, its hull glowing with rivers of energy. Entire fleets could dock within it. Its engines burned brighter than suns, and its weapons hummed with power that shook the galaxy. The High Admiral's eyes widened. His words broke into a whisper. That cannot exist. The Terran flagship's lights activated, and the battlefield froze. Every alien soldier, every commander, every citizen watching the broadcast felt their hearts sink. The war was no longer about numbers. It was about survival. The human fleet stopped firing. Silence stretched across the battlefield. Then a signal broke through every comm, every channel, every ship. A human voice, calm and steady, filled the galaxy. Submit or be forgotten. The alien fleet stared at the flagship, trembling in disbelief. Their weapons flickered off, their courage drained. They knew the truth. If the humans unleashed that ship, no world, no system, no empire could stand. The Terran flagship's massive cannon began to glow, brighter and brighter, as if preparing to fire. The alien admiral screamed to his crews, "Brace for impact!" But deep inside, he already knew it was too late. The battlefield was silent. The alien blockade had been shattered. Thousands of ships reduced to burning wreckage, drifting among the stars. Survivors floated in panic, their comms filled with screams, static, and desperate calls for retreat. Yet all attention locked on the colossal Terran flagship. Its massive cannon glowed brighter than any sun, aimed directly at the Council fleets, but then the glow dimmed. The cannon powered down. The humans had not fired. A wave of confusion rippled through the alien admirals. Some dared to breathe in relief, while others trembled, waiting for the strike that never came. Then the signal came alive, forcing its way into every channel, every holoscreen, every device across the battlefield. And beyond, the human commander appeared. His armor gleamed black under cold light, his scarred face calm, his voice sharp as steel. Behind him, the vast bridge of the Terran flagship stretched endlessly, filled with human officers and glowing displays of star maps. His words were simple, but each carried the weight of thunder. People of the Council, hear me. You thought humanity was gone. You thought our ashes had scattered. But we are here. We are stronger than ever, and we will not ask. We will demand the feeds spread beyond the battlefield. Across the galaxy, entire planets froze as the message forced its way into homes, temples, marketplaces, and military command centers. Alien citizens stopped in their tracks as the human's face appeared before them. Leaders in their palaces stiffened, watching in fear. Even the Grand Speaker of the Council, seated in the capital, leaned forward with wide eyes, unable to hide his terror. "You gave us fire when we asked for peace," the human said, his voice echoing. "You gave us chains when we asked for freedom. You gave us death when we asked to live. For this, there will be no forgiveness." The screen shifted, showing burning cities from the old war, human children screaming in the flames, soldiers falling as Council fleets rained destruction upon Earth. The aliens watching shuddered. They remembered. They had celebrated then. Now those memories turned into nightmares. The human's voice cut back in, colder now. "Submit or be forgotten. Your fleets, your armies, your empires, none of it matters. Humanity now commands weapons you cannot comprehend. We do not bluff. We do not beg. We decide." Panic spread across the galaxy. In council chambers, alien leaders shouted at one another. Some screamed to surrender, to bow before humanity before it was too late. Others demanded resistance, claiming the humans could not possibly defeat the entire galaxy. But even as they argued, fear gnawed at their pride. Back on the battlefield, the Terran flagship drifted closer. Its shadow fell across broken alien ships, making them look like insects beneath a giant's hand. Alien survivors whispered in terror, their voices carried across open comms. "They don't want to destroy us. They want to rule us," the human commander continued, his tone steady but final. "We are not here for revenge. We are here for control. From this day forward, humanity decides the fate of this galaxy. Those who kneel will live. Those who resist will fall." In the alien capital, the Grand Speaker finally broke his silence. His voice shook as he whispered to his counselors, "If we kneel now, we are slaves. If we fight, we are dead. Which fate do you prefer?" No one answered. Their faces told the truth. They feared both. The suspense tightened as the human fleet adjusted formation. Across the galaxy, alien citizens saw the warships stretch into perfect alignment, as if preparing to strike at any moment. The human commander raised his hand slowly. "You have one chance. Choose wisely." And then the Terran fleet moved, not to fire, not to retreat, but to target. Holograms lit up across alien worlds, showing human warships hovering in orbit above dozens of council planets. Some were small colonies, others were rich trade worlds, and a few were military strongholds. The humans had already spread their fleets farther than anyone imagined. They had been planning this for years, perhaps decades. Alien citizens screamed as massive Terran dreadnoughts descended, their engines burning like suns, their weapons glowing faintly but never firing. The humans did not need to fire. The message was already written in the sky. The demand was simple, but its meaning was heavy. Humanity now owned the galaxy's fear. The feed returned to the commander, who spoke one last line, "This is your only warning." On the alien capital world, the skies suddenly darkened. Alien leaders rushed to the windows in disbelief. Above their planet, breaking through hyperspace, came the Terran flagship itself, larger and closer than any nightmare. The alien capital had never known fear. For centuries, its skies were filled with banners of victory, its streets alive with pride, its leaders certain of their eternal rule. But that day all of it changed. The sky darkened not with storms, but with shadows. The Terran flagship emerged from hyperspace, its colossal frame blotting out the sun. Its hull glowed with rivers of blue fire, engines burning like the heart of a star. The planet's defense grid activated instantly, cannons rising from towers, orbital satellites aligning. Yet as their scanners measured the flagship, the numbers made every alien officer tremble. No weapon they possessed could even scratch something that size. Panic filled the city. Civilians ran through the streets, staring upward at the vast machine that covered their skies. Children cried, parents shouted, soldiers froze. The council's capital, once untouchable, now felt like prey. Inside the council chamber, the Grand Speaker stood pale and shaking. His advisors screamed around him, arguing over surrender, retreat, or final defiance. Their voices clashed, desperate and hopeless. Then the chamber itself shook. Dropships had landed. The doors burst open as human soldiers marched inside. Their black exosuits gleamed under the chamber's glowing lights. They moved in silence, step after step echoing like drums of war. Alien guards raised their weapons, but none dared fire. The humans carried themselves with such calm precision, as if the entire galaxy already belonged to them. The Grand Speaker shouted, his voice cracking, "This chamber is sacred. You cannot—" But before he could finish, the human commander entered. His scarred face was unreadable, his eyes cold, his armor shining with the emblem of Earth. Behind him, more soldiers filled the hall, their presence suffocating. The alien leaders fell silent. The commander walked to the center of the chamber, his footsteps slow, deliberate. He looked at the alien rulers, beings who once laughed as Earth burned, and he spoke in a voice that carried across the room and beyond. "This chamber is no longer yours. From this day forward it belongs to humanity." The words struck harder than any weapon. The alien leaders shifted in their seats, their pride shattered. The Grand Speaker tried to speak again, but his voice failed. He could only stare, trembling, as the human commander raised his hand. At that signal, the walls of the chamber lit up. Holograms appeared, broadcasting the scene across the galaxy. Every world, every ship, every citizen watched as the Council's sacred chamber filled with human soldiers, Earth's banner rising behind them. The commander's voice rang out. You believed Earth was weak. You believed humanity could be erased. But you forgot one truth. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity rises. And now humanity rules. Across alien worlds, silence followed. In markets, in homes, in barracks, billions watched in disbelief as their proud council bowed its head. Some cursed, some wept. But most knew the truth. This was the birth of a new age. Suspense gripped the chamber as the human commander turned his gaze on the grand speaker. The alien leader trembled, sweat dripping down his scaled face. Slowly, unwillingly, he lowered his head. One by one, the other councillors followed, bowing before the humans. The galaxy's greatest rulers, once untouchable, now bent under Earth's shadow. The commander raised the Earth banner higher, its colors burning bright in the chamber's light. His voice thundered one final decree. The Galactic Council is finished. A new order begins. Humanity will lead, and those who resist will vanish into history. You have ruled with fear for centuries. Now you will serve under strength. The alien leaders remained silent. Some shook with rage, others with shame, but none dared to resist. The humans had not destroyed the capital with fire. They had taken it with fear, discipline and power greater than the galaxy had ever imagined. Outside, the Terran flagship hovered above the planet like a god in the sky. Human fleets filled the orbit, their weapons glowing faintly, watching, waiting. Across the galaxy, alien worlds saw the same message. Earth had returned not for revenge, but for dominance. The suspense stretched as the commander's gaze swept across the chamber one last time. Then he spoke the words that sealed the galaxy's fate. This is the new order. Humanity has returned stronger than ever. And you will never forget it, the feed cut leaving billions of alien citizens staring at blank screens in silence. The galaxy that once mocked Earth now trembled under its shadow. On the alien capital world, the Earth banner waved over the council chamber. Human soldiers stood guard at its doors. The galaxy's heart no longer belonged to the council. It belonged to humanity. The Terran flagship slowly rotated in orbit, its colossal frame glowing in the darkness. As it moved, its engines lit the sky with fire, casting the council capital in a glow that looked like dawn. A dawn not for the aliens, but for Earth's new empire.